You're listening to She Means Business, a podcast of 4 women realtors, each with unique business models, who came together to establish a supportive community. We are here to offer valuable resources and break down barriers that we face within the industry.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we have Josh Pomerleau on our episode. I'm going to list off a couple things he has done. He is the owner of the Pomerleau team, JP Brooks Builders, and JPW Realty. Some of the accomplishments for the Pomerleau team: he was voted best company to work for in 2017, 18, and 19. Hit over $1 million in yearly volume starting in 2018. RealTrend's #1 medium-sized real estate team in the Twin Cities for 2022. And now I'm going to talk about JP Brooks Builders. He was Minnesota's top 25 builders in 2019, 2020, 2021, and top 10 for 2022. He was also a Reggie Award winner, awarded Best Places to Work in 2021, Maple Grove's Best Builder finalist in 2023. He is also the owner of JPW Realty since 2016. Okay, so with all that being said, Josh, what is everyone else doing wrong?
Oh, great.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah,
We appreciate it, with all your accomplishments that we are able to interview you today.
Great.
Okay, so if you just got your real estate license today, what would you be focused on?
Gosh, that was 20 years ago
Yeah,
for this guy. 2005, so
right before
not
the
quite
crash.
18. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've seen all markets,
That's right.
good and bad. And what would I do today if I was to start out? I mean, I think probably one of the biggest mistakes most agents do is that they have too big of a net. So they think I got to do a little bit of everything because they feel scared that they don't have anything.
Yep.
So it takes really big guts to just be really, really focused. But so what I would do is I would find a way to be as focused as I possibly could on building as much value inside of my sphere. Now, I've coached hundreds of agents, probably a few hundred. And one thing that agents always get a little nervous is like, oh, I got to call people and then tell them, who do you know who wants to buy and sell and invest in real estate? And that's like the opposite of what I do. As much as I am older now, it was still not cool
So old school.
to call all your people and ask who you want to invest in, and especially today with all the people who sell things every day, I would be just doing everything I can to find 200 to 300 people that I could add as much value to, and I bet my business on that. And if you did that, and you got really, what would eventually happen is you would come up every single day into your office. So what I would do then, as I said, every single day in the office and turn off Facebook, turn off everything else, and I would sit there until I put a plan together to be able to add the value to the 200 or 300 people that were closest to me. And until that, once I got that, then I would be like, I put a plan together, a touch program of how to consistently do that every single month.
I remember when you started, you used to go to the office even if you had nothing going on, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you would do.
Yep.
Go there, focus on that.
Because it gets boring sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your motivation.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I think a lot of times people, I think it reminds me of kind of like food. It's like people don't know how the world is set up against you to succeed with food, right? Like there's trillions of dollars against you to lose to food, right? So I think about that in the world of distraction. The world is set up to completely destroy your business. And the number one thing that you can do from a distraction standpoint, and the number one thing you can do is figure out a way to get focused. And one of the best ways to do that is go sit in a place where there's no distractions, your office or maybe somewhere in a basement bedroom or something like that, where you can focus on the handful of things that you need to do every day to get those things done. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know what to do. And then I would just say, well, until you figure that out, don't do anything else. Like sit there and be bored until you not get bored anymore.
Right.
So I want to punch things. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll quick on that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So when you say, how do you know when you find the right thing to focus on that's meant for you?
And that's another thing is coaching a lot of agents. Everyone will do this business differently.
Yeah.
And so I laugh at when people will say this is exactly how you have to do it, because everyone does it differently. So if I'm coaching someone, and if this is someone listening to this, I would say, ask yourself, what are the few things that I do relationship-wise better than most other people? It doesn't have to be the best, meaning that you connect with people. I think of how you connect with people, how I did, how other people do that I know, where they can, if it's like, hey, I'm going to do an event every quarter and I'm going to connect with you. Or if I'm just really good, I know someone that they just, every week in their calendar, they have 2, 3, 4 people in there, and they go to lunch, dinner, or golf, or they just always have something in their calendar to meet with someone else. And they don't treat it as like the grossest word I hear is like networking. It's like, no, I don't know, like no networking, no...
Like ulterior motive for it.
Exactly, just that. And then over time, find different angles from letters and events and those things, dinners and all the things that you can do. And you'll eventually become you'll become to people someone that they're going to want to do real estate with. I think the last part of that is then you would want to always have some type of marketing angle that you're doing on social media or doing mailers that are showing that you are actually an expert too, meaning that the last part, once you connect with someone on them, just stopping them from doing business with you, after you've connected with them, would be to think that you have the highest ability to be able to get them to get to where they want to go, meaning to be successful. So then I would want to reassure them consistently, not necessarily in your face, but showing them you at closings, you sold this house. You don't have to be over the top and talk about that all the time, but just that's the last part where you would want to make sure that the last part of them feeling like, is this person good enough? And I like them and I trust them, but are they good enough to be able to get the most amount of money for my house or get the house that I'm looking
savvy.
for? Yeah.
What was your favorite medium then to use, like starting out of all the things you tried?
So social media was just coming out. That's sad. But social media was there. I mean, Facebook was 2005.
It was just the college.
But it was still there. So like, and you gotta remember, 2005 is my first year. I mean, what was my first big year? You know, maybe it was a few years down the road of that. So social media by then was very, very popular. Everyone had it. So that would be, social media probably would be. But I would have, as old school as it is, I would have a mailer going to my people. I would have an in-face event, a couple of them every single year, where I'm adding different things at it over time. And in our first event, we had 13 people come. I mean,
was that just like I was one of seminar?
No. Just had like a pie giveaway, and there's 13 people that came to the front entry of our office and said hi to them and thanked them.
I was one of the 13.
Yeah, exactly. You were one of the 13.
And little Noah.
So that was a long time ago. And then we've had upwards of 500 people, or so come now. But so it can start small. But the biggest thing that I think people miss, and what I will win at, and what other people who are successful at, is being consistent over a long period of time. And that's where I think also the importance of the focus of thinking that you're going to try to, if you're drilling down and you're trying to hit oil, if you take 50 holes and you go down 2 feet, you're not going to ever hit oil. So meaning that once you found some oil, it's like, go deeper, don't go longer. It's the same thing with the adding value and connecting with people. It's like find ways to go deeper and forget about having the 100 things you need to be going on at one time to be able to do it. The most amount of success is when we drill deeper. So meaning that going to like you're building your relationships, and what would I do? Yes, you have a marketing angle of social media, you have mailers, you have events, you have giveaways, you have unique ways on how you connect with your people. And what I would also say is when you go home and then you think, I should be on Zillow, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing this. Do everything first. Say no to all those. If you want to do if you have 10 things that you want to do everything you can to say, like, this is in the best spot it could possibly be in, until you take one more of those other things and then add that to your things that you're going to do. But if that's not, don't waste your time on doing the second most best activity. Do the first one and have the confidence in yourself that if you give yourself that much focus and you're connecting with that many people, then you'll get results. I mean, one thing I have coached a few, very seldomly, is it funny enough, but I have coached a couple people that have only had 30 or 40 or 50 people in their sphere, and that will not work. Meaning that you will have to figure out a way to get more people in your sphere.
Like
and what would you say? What would you do?
Cold calling.
Cold calling or whatever. I would probably. This is what I would probably do. I'd get very involved in something like my church.
Right.
I would anyways, but I would just make it another point to get involved in my church or something that I'm going to be at a lot. Maybe a school.
Right.
Very involved in a school, maybe a school board or whatever, or kids sporting events.
Volunteering.
Yeah, volunteering.
Yeah.
I'd do that. And I would probably just focus on an area and like farming and just try to do as much open houses in that area and build a list and just and figure out how to, and I've done that, until you get to 100, 200, 300 people. And a lot of those people will come in as C's, they're colder people, but over time, if you got a few hundred people in there, you can warm them up with your touch program to make them B's and then to make them A's. And the hardest thing is for an entrepreneur, like a lot of this just sounds like, I remember thinking so many times, because I've taught a lot at the brokerage we were at before. I mean, we taught thousands of people. We wrote Kaplan courses where we've done Kaplan things, and it's really boring talking about building a sphere. Like for an entrepreneur, for a lot of real estate agents that get into this, they go, sphere, okay. Can we talk about like buying leads online? And can we talk about investing in properties? Yes, we can talk all about that stuff, but if you can't do the first thing first, you're wasting so much time. And then you're going to come back to this later anyways, and then you're going to be like, I could have bought 10 properties instead of 1 property. If I would have just if I would have just ate the frog and ate the broccoli first, then I can have the cake a little bit later.
That's why I only had one meeting with you, and that's all I needed, because you told me sphere, and then I did it all, and then I never need you again.
So I think.
And what's your relation to him? So everyone knows.
This is my brother.
Yeah.
I've been stuck with him for 35 years.
Yeah. So it's really important to get the most important thing done first and then go on to the next thing,
Yeah.
And the distraction of like wanting to be an entrepreneur is really, really difficult. But because I think I have a big part of that, and I think a lot of people that will listen to this will have that. I would just say that you can do everything in real estate if you can just get 1 or 2 things done. And that is super, I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel confined by that, but it's actually unbelievably freeing. Because it becomes super simple, and you can have all the other things over time if you let time carry you through, just as long as if you're consistent.
Right.
If you're consistent over time, you can do anything.
Yeah.
You can literally do anything. You could take a mountain and move it from here if you had enough time.
Yeah. Which I feel goes into our next question we want to ask. Like, what makes a real estate agent successful? Which is, like, you kind of touched on it already, but, like, consistency.
Yeah.
Like, you just, even if it's boring, like,
sticking
doing
to
the
one
things.
thing in your sphere, if you have enough of a sphere.
Figuring out what works.
And getting your sphere to a place that can be to that, where you can it's big enough.
Sustainable.
It's big
Then
enough.
when did you know, like, growing your business, that it was time to, like, start adding more people on and, like, a team? Like, when was it like, okay, like, this is too much for me, like, time to take a next step? When did that transition?
What was your first hire too?
So first hire was an admin. Well, my first true hire was probably getting in the business with my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife. But
prior to that, though, how long were you a solo agent?
Probably, so it's been 15. Probably 3 years, roughly. 3 or 4 years. 3 years, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then an assistant, which was Sarah, but she was much shorter than an assistant. And then we just started from there. I think one thing that, because as I coach a lot of other agents, building a team is great, and I highly suggest it. But at the same point, most of the people that I've talked to that want to be very successful in real estate basically tell me they don't want a team.
Me.
And you too. Yeah, I was
Technically, though, you are.
We are.
You and your husband.
Yeah, you are.
But not a big team.
I don't want to delegate.
And that's almost like a partnership. It is a team, but it's
Yeah.
almost like a little bit different because
Totally.
when you're talking a partner, it's different than building a team.
Yeah.
So what I would say for 90% of people that think it might sound okay, but a lot of people just don't really want to do it, you can be unbelievably successful with not having a team. And what gets really crazy is once you get that focus in the business and you focus on the 1 or 2 things that matter the most, you can have so much time and in a lot of money and have a lot of success in a little bit amount of time if you get that focus. I mean, I know agents work 20, 30 hours a week and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And it's one of the biggest things that I have to coach them over is that they feel guilty that it's so easy.
Yeah.
And that's not a joke.
Yeah,
I mean, like I
makes sense.
literally,
Good problem to have.
and
Yeah.
so, and I see a lot of people where they would have to make the decision where I'm going to go to team. Well, then when you start doing that, you take on a whole different level of how you have to show up every day, how you have to care more about others than yourself, then you have to eat differently, how you have to sleep differently, have to give up drinking if you really care about them and you want them to be really successful. You have to start becoming the person that deserves to have a big team, and to do that, it takes you to become a different person. A lot of people don't want to do that, and I don't blame a lot of people because I know there's way more people that are like that than not. And then so what got for me to want to do it? I've really loved team sports. Like if you could say you could be a tennis player on your own, or you could be on a football team. Even if I was less successful, I would pick being on the football team because the satisfaction of working together to solve to solve problems and then to solve bigger problems is such a satisfaction thing. I get so much satisfaction out of that. So creating a team just became a thing that I didn't really have the decision. So it was like, you can't do this you can't do what your goals are without having a team.
Right.
And so it just couldn't happen. And I knew, so people say like, like, is it money and all that kind of stuff? And yes, there has to be, money has to be a part of the equation. It has to make sense.
Right.
It can't make not sense to take on way more risk, do all this stuff and make a lot less money.
Right.
But if it isn't really about something much bigger than yourself, then it's going to be very difficult to build a team. I remember hearing some people talk about, like, I want to build a team so that I have more leverage so I can go do these other things that I want to do. I'm not saying that can't be a part of it, but if that's like the overall driving focus and your people feel that, it's really about you getting what you want to get to and not bringing them to where they want to get to. I think there's a lot of teams that won't make it through anything tough because they're going to be like, you're really in this just for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, the retention won't be there. Whereas your members on your team have stayed with you like for a very long time, right?
And, well, you're here all the time, Monday through Friday. You're going to be here. You're going to be here every single day, and you have people's families that you're in charge of. You have hundreds of people's families? Even in the building company.
Oh yeah, hundreds and hundreds.
So you have to be here. You're in charge of all of them, and making sure their families. And
I'm not perfect, obviously, and there's things that I don't do great. But
I know you're not perfect.
Sarah could go.
Here's my
Angie could go on that for a long time.
I'm just kidding.
So, anyways, but so it has to become so much more bigger than yourself. And you have to care. That said, like, I think of things in the team that, like, Matt has really been there for the team, and as I've kind of come into JP Brooks, he could make the argument that I've like so-called ditched the team, and that's been tough. We've gotten through it, and at the end of the day, I believe it's better for them because they're going to all have more opportunity and grow. And what I'm doing inside the building company actually grows the team. Right. It actually makes everyone
feeding back to them.
It makes everyone more money and has a more opportunity.
And the Realty company.
And the Realty company too. So I think I focused on the number one thing that I can create the most opportunity for the most amount of people, which then obviously creates the most opportunity for the business as a whole. So I try to focus on that, but
you can't control what other people are going to do. Like, you can give them something, but you don't. You can't control it anymore.
And as much as like I could say I could support them more, and those are things that I work on, is especially having the building company and even the brokerage, both being in kind of a startup phase and going from literally nothing on the radar of being a successful builder to the top 10 builders in the state of Minnesota. And a lot of those builders have been around 50, 60, 70 years, and some of them have billions of dollars, and you're fighting against it. You're literally like jumped out of an airplane, and you don't have a parachute, and you're trying to build the airplane on the way down before you hit the ground. And so there's been
the perfect job for you, though. You've been like that my whole life. Like, what can I do next that just is crazy? I just need to keep my brain occupied.
But but at the same part of that though is like, I do see a lot of people that want to try just a bunch of different things, and they just jump all around and don't get anything done. And we've been, and like before I had anything else, I had the team for almost 10 years before we had some of these other things. And had a lot of key people in place that are still around today, and I wouldn't be doing other things without those people. So a lot of people talk about, I want to own an ice cream store, and I want to own a burger company, and I want to make carpet, because entrepreneurs. But I just want to be super clear. I actually think that that's great and all, but I think a lot of people get these other things, get them distracted from being really successful. And as much as I do have a few different businesses, in 20 years, I really have 3. And a lot of the other ones wouldn't even come if I wasn't in business with other people. Yeah. So as much as me like to do other things, I really believed that I needed more challenge to be able to positively impact more people, and that was just the next rung. I do not think actually, though, to go jump around and start all these different companies is actually beneficial for the people that are here and for myself. And I think that could be a really big distraction as an entrepreneur to think that's how it works. It's the same thing as drilling deep on the sphere. If you're not drilling deep inside of the businesses, well, then you're just leaving a lot of table and causing a lot of problems that are going to show up at different times too.
Yeah, what do you think the biggest challenge you've run into is, like, with starting all the different companies? So, like, one thing that stands out to you?
I mean, every single day is a different challenge. So
how'd you overcome them?
What's the number one? Well, the number one, to answer that in a different way, I mean, what's the number one way to become more successful? And the number one way to become more successful is to get in business with greater people. I mean, right? So I believe we hire better than a lot of our competition, and that is what's given me the excitement about doing JP Brooks. Like, I wouldn't be doing JP Brooks if I didn't believe we hired better people than our competition, because I know we wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the greatest challenge, but that's not really been the greatest challenge because I believe we've done that.
Hiring is hard, so
got that down.
And Sarah and Krista and some of our key people have become so good at that, and so I'm not necessarily the best person of hiring people, but we have people here that are. Yeah. And so but that hasn't been a challenge because we've been able to do that. So I wouldn't say that's been the greatest challenge. I don't know. You always want to grow faster, and it's very, very difficult. Probably some of the biggest things that I did wrong in the building company in general is I didn't know what I didn't know as soon as I wanted to know it, and I paid the dumb tax for too long. Meaning, now so a lot of people say we grow faster than almost anyone else, but it's still, when you're in it, you could say, well, I could have done it 50% faster.
Which you learned from your failure.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you had to learn from them.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. We're kind of bouncing off between all of us.
Yeah.
What investment opportunities should us as insiders be taking advantage of?
Well,
I close on a property tomorrow. Sorry.
Bang. I really just said it. I mean, if you're an insider on something, it's pretty ignorant to jump into something that you're not an insider at and try to make money at. Yeah. There's other people inside of other industries that are as good as you are in real estate or better. And if you jump into their industry, they're going to be the ones who are going to take the best investments and the best opportunities first. So then, go ahead.
How many rental properties do you have?
Well, we own this commercial building. So we think about it not in units, but I don't know how many units it would be. If I had to guess, 30.
30.
I mean, I could be wrong. It could be 25, could be 32.
And then you take those two and leverage them. Like, you sold me one of yours, and then you bought this building because you sold it to 6 agents, 6 of the townhomes.
And now with JP Brooks, it's like we own hundreds and hundreds of lots and, maybe not 1,000 acres, but, we own, now our investments are becoming into land because we're becoming an insider in something. Yeah. You read Warren Buffett. One of the biggest persons I've ever read is Warren Buffett, and inside of out of what he's done and how he thinks. And I mean, couple of big lessons from him. One, think of investing as a punch card of 20 holes, 20 punches, and you can only punch 20 of them in your life, and you'll become a way better investor. Meaning that there's only a certain amount of investments you need that if they're the right ones, that will change your life. I think he says there's 5 companies that have created 90% of their wealth. I mean, it's like Coca-Cola, American Express,
McDonald's.
No, I could name it. I could figure out the other 2. No. And he has 5 of them, and that's made 90% of his wealth. So taking that into our thought that being an insider inside of real estate, it's not how many investments you do, it's how many good ones you do. And that's the cool thing is that if you're in real estate and that's what you're doing every single day, you're going to come across a good deal or two. I can't tell you how many agents who had never owned real estate and then I've coached them and then within a year they owned something that they did not think they could do, and how good of a good deal they've gotten.
Everyone at this brokerage.
Yeah. So meaning.
Yeah.
He's coached us all into buying rentals, and now Ben and I are buying our 5th one tomorrow. So.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So when
That's
you're
a
an
huge value
insider,
add.
when you're an insider and you're thinking, hey, I'm going to go, because I get this temptation too, is where someone will say, hey, you should come in and be an investor in, we make tools, doing something, and it's like, oh, that, and they tell you a story, and you're like, oh, this is awesome, and all of a sudden you're like, no, wait. The number one way I make money is like not losing money. So like, look at that, and then look at rule number 2. Look at number 1, meaning don't lose money. Well, if you're in real estate and you're buying the right properties, you can set it up if you're not overstretching yourself to not lose money for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause you get all the numbers ahead of time. So
yeah, you
know.
can see everything, and
Yeah,
you can
right,
know like
yeah.
worst case scenario. And if you're not overstretching yourself, maybe you lose money for 6 months, but for like a 10-year period, you're like almost for sure gonna make money. And
It's
so
always trending up too, even though it goes up and down. And real
Yeah,
estate's
yeah, over a
always
long
going
period of
up.
time.
So
It's been good.
You can take those properties and 1031
Appreciation,
exchange into bigger ones, and then
yeah,
more and more.
yeah, yeah. So
Books. What are your favorite books? Just a couple of them.
Buffett.
Just touch on a couple.
there's a handful of Warren Buffett books that have been really good. As much, Gary Keller was a mentor of mine. I was in his top 100 group for maybe 5 years or something like that, and I learned an unbelievable amount from him. So like the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I probably read that. I bet you I read the paper book probably 15 times back to back, and I probably listened to it more in the beginning. Now that was 15 years ago, but I knew once. So as much as I read, I was telling the girls I read 400 books probably before I was. But it's interesting. As much as I've read lately, I've just tried to reread the books, and because it's like there's 10 ideas out there. I need to hear them from the 10 best books. So Millionaire Real Estate Agent would be one, and I reread that, and I'd get out of it what I wanted. I remember I used to read like the first 80 pages because once they started talking about becoming a millionaire, I couldn't even fathom what that meant and how to do it, that I would shut down. So I was like, I got to master these things first, and if I master those things first, I don't want to get overwhelmed of like, hey, you need 37 appointments per month to be able to get 25 listing agreements, to get 20 closings, to to do. And I'm like, well, I can't even get 2 this month. So
right.
I'm not going to be talking about 50, or whatever, or something like that. So I mean, I so that would be one. Another book from him, One Thing, is a really good one. I've liked about getting focused.
The One Thing.
The One Thing. There's a lot.
The Bible.
Yep, the Bible. That's probably my favorite. Well, that is my favorite.
It better
book.
be your favorite.
For mindset, that's the hard part. Is people ask me what's their favorite book. It depends on what season I am and what my obstacle it
The
is.
question is too, like what are you looking
Yeah,
for?
yeah. What's the obstacle that you're overcome? Mindset books. Think and Grow Rich is probably my number one mindset book. Think and Grow Rich. There's another one, Power Positive Thinking, by a pastor, Norman Vincent Peale. That was a really good one. I read that
how you
multiple times.
memorize all that stuff. I
can't. I barely. They're coming up just, So the mindset ones, the money one would be like Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything Warren Buffett.
Do you like the other Robert Kiyosaki books, or just that one mainly? Like, do you like
No,
Cash Flow Quadrant?
Cash Flow Quadrant was good too. After that, I read a handful of other ones, and I thought it kind of
It's the same thing over.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I read Cash Flow Quadrant, I felt like a lot of Rich Dad Poor Dad was into that one,
Yep.
So.
Business building books of like Jim Collins, Entrepreneurship 2.0, I thought was really good. Really good. I have a lot of notes from that. And he also has Built to Last, which is a good organizational book that I've really enjoyed. He's obviously the one who wrote Good to Great, which everyone talks about that one.
Never heard of it.
Another. Oh, that's his main one, but I didn't like. That's probably the least one I liked. But Built to Last was really good. Entrepreneurship 2.0 was really, really good. I'd highly, highly suggest that. A little bit more on the mindset book, Grit, by Angela Duckworth. That was a really, really good one. I think there's a book called Mindset is that by Carol Dweck or something like that? I think
Didn't you like Shoe Dog a lot?
I love reading biographies. So like Shoe Dog was one of my favorite ones.
I read that because you said you liked it.
There's an obscure one by Jim Clayton. I really liked his book. Trammell Crow, one of the best real estate investors of all time, which did a ton of commercial real estate in Texas and then went throughout the country. A lot of office, which is obviously on the downswing now. He was a really good one. I really like that. So the stories of entrepreneurs are really cool. It gives you motivation to be like, they had it sucks.
It gives you ideas too.
Yeah, it gives you ideas.
You can learn through the stuff that they did wrong too, even though you'll do your own stuff wrong during entrepreneurship. So
we'll make a little list of those and put it in the show notes if people didn't catch all of the titles.
I know there's a lot.
We'll add some of them on there.
400.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more questions?
I think mostly just like kind of what shifted you into the building side of things too. We kind of bounce back and forth, but what inspired you to start the building company once you were in the real estate side of things? Yeah,
so that's a good question. We were doing, I think we rehabbed and rented or rehabbed and sold 100, I'm just guessing, 150 homes, maybe 100 plus homes.
Oh, wow.
And we started getting to the place, and that was just becoming a nice thing to figure out how to get more listings inside of the Pomerleau team's business.
Okay.
And
were you doing that just under? Were you just doing it under your name or the team?
LLC, an LLC, especially the rentals we had to for tax reasons and stuff. And then also it was a separate business. So, but it was very It was we had a construction team, and so but it really supported Pomerleau team's goals of getting bigger. So that was just a nice add-on to be able to do more, and it was kind of very synergistic. And we had some key relationships that kind of formed, and we kind of used those to be able to do that. And then one thing led to another, where the rehabs were going away with the downturn kind of being done with, and land was still really cheap because a lot of builders have foreclosed on their land, and so we started buying land because it just was so unbelievably affordable. And then so we started with that same group. We started building homes, and then
was that Dan Aho?
Yeah, Dan.
So top line painting.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So he was involved in that. And then, and then we just really took that to another level. We didn't stop at just like, hey, we're going to build a few homes. Building homes is unbelievably difficult.
And in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things you could. There's thousands of details that go into being successful, and then the margins are razor thin, and so everything has to go right. You have to have every facet of the game, from sales, purchasing, construction, land, finance, all in the right spot to be able to make the money work.
Her dad's a builder too.
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah.
She does
lots of moving parts.
She does all of it. She does the purchasing, everything. And that one person, she does that 15 jobs for one person.
Right, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, lots of moving pieces.
Yeah. So it was just a kind of a natural extension from the investment side of things, where we thought that we had a couple of the key relationships, and then it was just going to support the whole growth of just basically being able to sell more homes. And then getting deeper and deeper into the home building, you can't do that like part-time at a high level. Yeah. And so when we were talking, we built 170 last year, it just, so that became my focus so slowly over time.
You're looking for listings and you just built them.
Yeah. Of hundreds of family versus 10 families, too, on that side.
It kind of got to a place where I could use everything that I've learned from building a team and selling homes and investing and financial management.
Kind of merged them all.
Yeah, it really forced all the things that you learned in real estate sales and then investing. You could put that into there and take it to another level. And I really wanted to. It just seemed like that was the best way to grow. Now that said, if we just focused on the team and didn't do that, it could have gotten just as big with it just doing that with the team.
Yeah, for sure. Sticking at that one thing.
Yeah. Doing all these other things, as doing it isn't necessarily cracked up. It's just it could be, there could be better ways to go about it. But that said, the home building industry for me now, it just scratches all those things that I think have
It's your passion now too.
Well, yeah, and it's just come together 360 from all the things that we've done and put it all together, and now can really build a team and get bigger. And I think that was just now, like if someone comes to me with all these other opportunities to do all these other things, it's like no.
Yeah.
It's really easy to
you
sell.
found it.
That's
Yeah.
the kind of end goal for everyone. When you find your thing, you're just so happy with it that you don't really want to entertain other things.
Right.
One thing I just have to point out while we've been talking, what I've really gathered, and I've already knew this, but you're kind of the guru of fitting in whatever the market's throwing at you as a deal. So like when short sales came in, you were going to the banks and going straight to the banks and negotiating with him and getting.
I think we did. I think we did 500 or 600 short sales.
Yeah, short sales.
And when rehabs were coming, I think
and
we did
then you
150.
And then when land became cheap, you started building.
Yeah.
And so like you just took whatever was good
market of the moment. The market of the moment.
Market was telling you.
You found your thing now.
As a real estate agent, after you really got done, and I didn't really want to go into this too much, but once you're a real estate agent, no, I didn't want to go into the next thing as a real estate agent, because I think so many people leave so much on the table of the inside of their sphere, which is the number one ROI thing that you can possibly
and it's
get.
Free, right?
It's free, and it also becomes a really good. When you become really good at something and you become really good at that, it becomes a really fun way to do business.
Yes,
It's
it does.
not like the most coolest thing that you could possibly do, but as you get deeper into people's lives and you see their lives changing because of what you've done, it is a very satisfying, especially compared to a lot of other careers. But what I was going to say is, if you ended up having a niche, and you can either go into like a farming, a geographic area, or if you can really figure out how to invest in property, and or you can figure out a market of the moment, because there just seems to always be a market of the moment that can be a way to get outsized opportunities as you've really mastered some of the other things. But the good thing about home building is there's such a dearth of needing more housing, and that is, I don't think we will need to find the next market of the moment. Inside of home building, things change, and we have to shift with those changes. Bigger houses, smaller houses, whatever.
Custom
Different
next-
price points.
Yeah, different price points and things like that. But like home building, like, is that going away? Like short sales went away, or even rehabbing, how it went down probably 90% or something like that. It's just not going anywhere. So that's what gives me kind of excitement too.
So at the end of our podcast, we play this game called Date, Marry, Kill. It's for not, no. So like
what
this,
date?
and I will take the rounds of this one. Yes.
Okay,
So like,
thank you.
Yes.
I'll just be quiet.
I should have explained
No, you
this
have
to
to
you
take
before.
Oh, great.
No, it's really good. So this one is either Date, Marry, Kill a Rambler, a 2-story, or a townhouse. So I'll go first. I would marry a Rambler because I always just want that I just something I could see myself living in forever. I do live in a 2-story right now because I have kids, so it's great. I'm going to date the 2-story because my kids are upstairs, and I can be downstairs and they don't hear me, and we can just be in our separate areas. Rambler, I'm going to marry because I just love Ramblers. I have high ceilings and everything's on one level, and I don't know, I just always picture myself in a ranch Rambler. And I'm going to kill the townhouse. It was great for a season. I love them for rental properties, and I love that I didn't have to do the lawn care and stuff. But yeah, what about you, Erica?
So I would date the townhouse.
Yes.
I mean, I'm currently in a townhouse,
And
and it's
now,
great.
yeah, it's a good
Good price point. Yeah. Good season. We've only got one
gonna
kid
use it
right
as a
now.
rental.
Use it as a rental once we're ready to move up. I would for sure marry the Rambler. I could get away with it with kids too, even though it's one level.
Yeah.
It's something I could live in forever. And like my husband loves Ramblers too. And then I guess kill the 2-story.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd just go straight to the Rambler.
That's smart.
Yeah.
You're smart.
I was going to say, I don't think Lennar will like you. That's all I know. Well,
Yeah, I have to agree with you for sure because I used to live
She's
in a
in London.
townhome and I honestly loved it and I miss it at times just for
fine.
the maintenance free living. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
great.
it's so
like
nice.
when I lived in a townhome, I do miss parts of it. So I'll definitely date the townhome because I still just think they have so many perks and I think they're great investment properties.
Yep.
So like to keep them as rentals, we're just buying another one too, like Ange. And then I would marry the Rambler because that's definitely
Yes.
goals.
Yes.
One level living, like every master on the main, all that. I don't need a bunch of stairs to go up.
Same.
Basement's good though. So
We're buying the
marry
same rental,
Rambler.
too.
Yeah.
By
In
the
my
way.
neighborhood.
In her neighborhood. In the
all
townhouse
that
she
one?
lives in. We're all buying the townhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her husband's HVAC, so he's going to take care of all that stuff for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
He's gonna be our handyman.
Great.
Yeah.
And then I'll kill the 2-story. I'm just not a fan. I mean, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
And I've never lived in one actually, and I probably never will.
Yeah,
hopefully.
actually, my parents were ramblers, so I didn't even grow up in one.
Yeah, same.
You and I both live in 2 stories right now.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you do?
Yeah. Oh man, can I just like them all?
That's
Gotta
not
be
fun.
opinionated.
I was in a townhome for 8 years, so I really enjoyed that in Main Street, Maple Grove area. So that was really good for a season. The same thing.
So you date that?
I date that and have as rentals. We own a lot of townhomes that are rentals. Very easy to maintain, very efficient.
Yeah.
You can buy them newer and still be affordable.
Right.
Yes.
Price
So
point.
that's really a good thing about that. I like the 2 stories, but that's probably something I'd kill too. Like it's a good for a season. It'll be good for a long season for us with all the kids. I do like it a lot, but I think the 1 level living and the caveat that we're not saying is about a Rambler. You can have a basement.
Yeah.
So
I love a
because in some
basement,
areas of the
yeah.
country you're a ranch and you don't have a basement,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, you kill that,
yeah.
well then you don't have a basement.
Yeah.
The nice
Minnesota,
thing,
let's have a
the thing
basement.
about the Rambler is actually it function almost like a reverse 2-story in some ways, where you can.
Yeah.
They're more expensive too, so
Yeah,
it's
per
easier
square
to
foot.
get them
Yes.
later on in life too.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
why I'm kind of dating my 2-story.
We
Yeah.
as JP Brooks, we sell a lot of Ramblers, and there's a
love
lot
them.
of they
What's
just
your
love
favorite JP Brooks layout?
I mean, we've cut our teeth on being really good with 1 level living. So now as we
Villas.
have villas and Ramblers, and so probably like our Stonewood plan.
I love your stone.
I do like the Somerset too. They're very similar in sizes.
I like the Greystone too.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
it still?
No, we don't have the Greystone anymore. But that was a version of the Stonewood.
Yes.
A little bit more efficient, a little bit better design, probably, the Stonewood plan. So, yeah, we're really good at the Ramblers. We are making a big push into 2 stories, though, because we believe we can do it at
More affordable.
Yeah, more affordable per square foot. And plus, I think we can do a really good job at it. We're pretty flexible in the home building, meaning that we're willing to do a couple things that some of our competition won't. And that's kind of our unique advantage,
Yeah, one day you were over measuring the end of my driveway, seeing how long it was. Because you were like, I do 22-inch driveways and yours is only 17. I could be getting by with a 17.
Yeah.
And no one even thinks about it.
Most
My
cities
gosh.
now make it so you have to do 16 feet at the curb. So
Yeah.
not even really much of a decision.
Oh, I said
anymore.
inches. Yeah,
Yeah,
feet.
yeah,
That's
feet.
what I
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's when we're
Amazing.
done.
Okay.
17-inch
Okay.
driveway. We're gonna wrap up there. Okay, thanks
Okay.
for listening, guys.
Okay, so we are going to wrap up, and we want to hope that everyone has a wonderful holiday season, and we will be back with more episodes in the new year.
Great.
Yay.
Bye, thanks.
Yep.
Merry
Jo-
Christmas.
oh, and one more. I want to say one more thing. Josh, I'm very proud of you as your sister.
Aw.
I love you so
I
much.
paid her to say that.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Cut.
We want to express our gratitude to all of you who have supported us and continue to tune in. Without you, this podcast wouldn't be possible. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes coming your way. Until then, remember to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep listening to She Means Business.